Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio. So today, well, the first thing we do today is have a quick check of the flow of materials through our base, and it's not looking good actually. It seems like both the iron and the copper are running out a bit before they get to the end of their journey, so perhaps there's some problems there. So I have just running around seeing if I can find a reason. You can see here where it's with the copper wire production there, it was actually running out before it could continue on to supplement the circuit production further on. And I go check out the science production, and then it suddenly dawns on me that the science is depleting, meaning the entire science system, and therefore the majority of the base is running at complete full tilt, and that's why everything's running out. So maybe there's something we can do about that. I'll have to see what I can do. So having a quick check of everything, and just after I discover this, the science that I was doing finishes, and I start up a new one, and I realise that immediately the science starts backing up again. So that must have been something that had a much shorter time than the others. So that shouldn't be a problem for now. It'll back up again, and then we won't have everything running so badly. So anyway, I just went and grabbed some processing units, and then I built myself a new fusion reactor. Yes, I now have 2 of them. And this is on the advice of a commenter on the previous video who was talking about efficient suit setups and how to get the most out of your power suits and so on, and to best help you with defeating biters. So I've made some tweaks there, and you can see I'm crafting a bunch of stuff in the bottom, and it's going to take a while for all that to happen. So in the meantime, I'll run around and do other stuff, and then once that's all finished, I can assemble my new suit setup. And so on. So we run on down to the trains, and you can see everything's running fine here. It looks like the trains are being emptied out, and the chest is staying full. You see there it's finished a shield, which I dumped in there. And then we're on the train from the main outpost, and you see that gets just over half emptied. But then going back, you can see that the chests loading into it are actually emptying slowly, meaning that outpost is no longer able to support the level of to support the supply of ore that is required, I suppose. So what I do is I run down onto the other copper outpost, the much smaller one, and start upgrading it. So I just add on another 4 mining drills for now, and I think that should be enough to fix it, and I just check it's all flowing onto the line properly, and that all looks good there. So that will increase the supply going into this train, which will help balance the loss of ore from the other train, or the other outpost. So anyway, wandering on down to the smelting area, I decide to finish off adding in the iron furnaces, and you can see that we now have the same number of furnaces in the iron smelting area as the copper one, and that is, I believe, 30. So we've got 30 smelters running non-stop for both copper and iron, and then there's some backup furnaces for iron a little further on, which used to be the main system, but before I made some big changes to it. Well, anyway, I'm looking at the supply, and I can see that there's a bit of stuff on the corner. It's actually sort of hard to see because the things are running so fast here that you're losing a lot of frames that you would otherwise be able to see. So what's happening is the corners are slowing down the ore that's going on the inside, and so I'm trying to fix that by messing around with splitters and stuff like that. And also, I add a splitter that combines those 2 belts there. The reason being that the upper belt was barely flowing at all anymore because it was going to the backup system, which of course was no longer operating because it didn't need to. So I put a splitter in there to sort of help even things out, which means that the ore from this outpost here that I'm now looking at will keep on flowing at a decent rate. So anyway, I do a quick check of the power system and find out that actually the accumulators are once again taking a long time to charge, and this is likely due to me adding in a bunch of new furnaces that'll all be running all the time, and also the science running at top speed for again after so long. So I have to make some additions to the solar system there, and that should hopefully keep things running well for a good while. And then there shouldn't be any more power problems. So far, there hasn't been any sort of power crisis for a very long time, and those that happened were man-made. Anyway, you can see I just made a quick tweak to this system here because I realised that you can speed up the going round the corner thing, and at the same time balance out either side of the belt, because we were having problems with both of those. So I managed to get 2 birds with 1 stone with that design. You know, get a patent on that quickly before anyone nicks it. But anyway, I just took some processing units out of the system after having it disconnected, and I reconnected that. And then we wander on down to the coal thing. At this point, I'm just taking stuff out of some chests and putting them into others, so it's not that important anymore. It's just a little bit of fun for me. All of this coal stuff is just a bit of fun for me, really. So you can see I've increased the unloading rate, and then I increased the loading rate, and that should hopefully be done by the end of the episode. And then I go run down and look at the science systems here, and I notice the advanced circuits are not quite filling up properly. They're not backing up, whereas the smart inserters are. So I try to tweak and get by adding in some more powerful effectivity modules, and then which will balance out a speed module that I put into it, and that should hopefully increase the rate of production enough to tip the balance back in a good direction. So anyway, you can see I've got a couple of chests here, and I plonk these down next to the science conveyors, and the reason for this is, after setting up Smart Inserter, that I'm going to now have buffers for the various different science packs. And the reason for this is what happened in the previous episode, or at the beginning of this one, where the science supply actually ran down because we were doing some research that went faster than other research normally does. So what I've done is I put in these buffers so that the science packs will fill up, and that means that it will take a lot more for it to run down, as in like the whole science cycle for it to run down, and that hopefully means that we won't have any more problems with that. The system will still be running at full pelt when it needs to be, but it's less likely to actually slow down the science rate at the end of the day. So anyway, I'm going over to the smelting area here, and I'm just adding in some faster belts just to keep the iron flowing at absolute top speed. And then I put in one of these cornering evening out systems here just to sort of help with things, though that particular belt corners all over the place immediately after that and just before going onto the line. And there's not much I can do about it anymore now that with all the changes I've made over time to it. And it's annoying really, because it's the problem that you always run into in Factorio, where you set up a system that runs absolutely fine to start with, but as time goes on, the requirements become more and more, and it gets to the point where the system can't deal with it anymore. And it always seems to get to that point. You can always advance more, and you're always going to have to be relying on old systems unless you rebuild your base every few hours or whatever, which is ridiculous, because of course I've just spent the entire series building this base, and so on. So just a quick check on the coal system again. There's no changes really there, and then I hop into my car and off we go, because the suit is ready. It's been ready for a bit, but I was just getting on with some other stuff. So the changes that I've made, based on the suggestions of the commenter, I forget his name, which is a bad thing. I should have said his name, or maybe it's better not to. I don't know. Yes, but what it was that, first of all, the personal laser defense is no good, and I did suspect this. I wasn't sure if it was really worth the time, and it doesn't seem like it was really. He also suggested, which I didn't think of, using another portable fusion reactor, and at first I was thinking, but this seems pointless to me, because you've already got this whole, they provide so much power that why would you ever need more than one? But the thing is, now that I have more than one, the battery never runs out, meaning that I only need one battery, or maybe I don't even need that. I'm not really sure, but basically I only have the one battery now, and that's fine, because all of the shields run off that one battery because of how quickly it is supplied by the fusion reactors. The shields can run down, but only when I'm under constant attack, and then they quickly recharge again. So you can see that the shield is barely dropping, and honestly, I probably don't need that many shields now, because the portable fusion reactors can repair that shield at such a high rate that it's not a problem anymore. So I've taken out all the batteries and all the personal laser defenses, put in a portable fusion reactor, and then a couple more shields, and also one more of the exoskeletons, so I can run a bit faster. And you may be able to see that it's now, because once again with the frame rate, it now looks like I'm sort of skiing along the ground because of how fast my feet are going, which is quite amusing. But anyway, we've finished off today's biter killing and radar building. So I go and run around and inspect the bases. I found that there's one miner run out over here so far, and there's nothing else changed. So make my way back over, realise this is the wrong car in the wrong place, so I go over to the top bit, hop out and let the repair drones deal with that. Check the coal system once again, and that's all going as expected. Nothing's happened there much yet. But anyway, going over to the science things, I can see that the buffers are now all full, which is excellent, and hopefully that will continue. and at some point I'll change what I'm researching to something that goes faster, most likely, and then we'll see the buffer system in action. Anyway, just a quick inspection of the various systems and things, and I realised that the iron ore is flowing a bit slow for my needs. You can see if you go to the end here that the iron ore is actually running out when it gets to the end of the smelting area, and that's no good at all. So I stick down a substation there, and then I clear out these middle sections which you usually used for power, and I stick some new inserter arms and chests there, so now the unloading thing uses 10 chests rather than 8, and that should hopefully be enough to tip the balance, as many of these things are at the moment, back into leaving a backlog, which is what we want, of course. So anyway, running over back to this copper base here, there's a couple of more mining drills to get rid of, and that's pretty much it for there. Hop back on the train, and you can see that the chests are getting emptier over there, so again that's still a problem. So I have a quick check of that everything is now running nicely there. Hop on board this train, and once it sets off, there it goes, we will hop out, run over here, and we will set up some new mining drills, another row of them here, to further cancel out the loss from the other outpost, sort of easing the supply from one to the other and so on. I didn't actually check though that it was all flowing nicely there like I usually do, and I think that actually it's backing up now on that sideline because of the way it's all working, so I'll have to go over there and fix that later on, suppose in the next episode or whatever. Well, anyway, just checking the old smelting thing again, having a look at that as I go through. I decided to speed it up, put some blue belts in just to get things running a bit quicker. And then I go, what the hell, let's do the whole thing. So I start running along the whole system, putting in these blue belts to just make sure that the copper is running as fast as it possibly can. And it looks like there's barely any of it on here. And then there's a really weird effect here where it looks like it's not moving, or in fact it's moving very fast, of course. The reason for this is that it's backing up against the corners. Of course, when you go around a corner on the inside, you slow down because of the way the conveyors work here. And it just so happens that you slow down to just the right speed that you now look like you're not moving on my screen. So anyway, I decide to speed up the coring thing, and then I realize I've made a horrible mistake because I've actually accidentally combined the copper and iron belts. So immediately I have to run around fixing this, and there's copper all over the iron belts everywhere, having to run around and find all the bits where it's gone horribly wrong. And that's how easily everything can fail in a factory when you're just messing about with the belts. You can accidentally hook one thing up to another, and then the problem goes all over the place. It was in my circuit production, it was in the science production, it's over here in the blue belt production, and I don't realize this at this point, but it's actually in the steel production as well, and I don't notice this, so I'm going to have to deal with that at the beginning of the next episode. Though it's not a major problem, it's only on one side of the belt, so the other side is still operating as normal, and you may be able to catch it a couple of times as I walk past, but I don't notice it. But anyway, running around just checking how things are, and I realised that there was actually 50 level 2 effectivity modules in there. The system had actually finally built up fully, so I filled my inventory, and I now have 50 of each of the level 1 modules and 50 of the level 2 effectivity modules, so I am fully supplied with all the modules I ever want. So that system's now running absolutely fine, and it will just fill up, and then one day it will shut down, and then suddenly we'll have production all over the place, except I go and ruin that by putting 4 alien artifacts into the production of level 3 productivity modules. So that sets off in motion. And the reason for that is that I'm going to increase the science rate, because of course the buffers are full, which means at the moment we could be doing more science than we are, so you know, why not? Why should the buffers ever be full, really, I suppose you could say, because at the end of the day you want the science to be going as fast as it possibly can. But anyway, I just did a quick check of the oil system, seeing that everything's nice there, and it all looks fine. The new set of the pump jacks is still going strong, and still keeping the supply at absolute max. Just had to do some tweaking on the ratios of the different fractions, of course. But anyway, I run over here, set up these new labs, just 2 of them for now, and put the various bits of structure you need to get it going. And then I go and grab my productivity modules, and once they're in, I hook them up, and so now our science rate is just a little bit faster. Not much, but just a little bit. And that is pretty much it for today's episode, just running around checking that everything's still fine. And then, once that's done, hop into the middle, and I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.